Okay, we'll see if that works. Alright, hello. Can you hear me? Is this microphone working? Looks like I'm live. Hello, welcome to anyone who is watching. I am doing a professional debinding and archiving of the Japanese guidebook for Threads of Fate, also known as Dewprism, when released originally in Japan. So my goal here is to just go through some examples of what the process can look like. So for example, when I first get a guidebook that I'm really excited about, in particular Legend of Dragoon, I like to flip through the book and just start scanning in random things that look like they might be cool and see if it's a hit or a miss on if it's common knowledge already or if it's rare knowledge, and just get myself that appetite whetted, get that taste real quick, and that way I don't have to wait for all the scanning. Although you could discipline yourself if you wanted to and just wait until that's all done. And of course, the next step will be to debind the book, which involves either cutting as close to the glue as possible on the spine, or hopefully in some cases the pages will pop right out, almost completely intact, like well past where the ink is. And of course you don't want to do that unless the guidebook is been confirmed that there's at least some other copies out there. I would pretty much never recommend debinding the last copy of something that is known to survive, just for a flat scan. But that's what we'll be doing today. Release date of Dewprism in Japan was October 14th, 1999. Thank you, Shiny Tentacruel. Tentacruel and I would like to help make sure there's some more information out there for the Threads of Fate fans, so that's why this is happening as well. And the October 14th is very close to LOD's release date, where we had December 2nd, 1999. There was a lot of JRPGs coming out at the time. And it was also just a month or so after North American release. Yeah. Alright, so depending on the material, sometimes I like to use gloves, so I'm going to use some non-latex gloves. Oops, that one fell on the floor, so that one's history. But I've got a whole box. And it's a little uncomfortable, but it's worth it, just in case, you know, even if you wash your hands, you don't want to necessarily get any fingerprints on the pages before the scanning is done. And also a face mask, because you might not see it coming when a sneeze happens, and you will regret it when there is snot on your precious guidebook. So just in case, to prevent any little spittle or whatever, I'm going to put this on as well. And I'll be pointing my camera down in a moment to show you the setup I got going on here. Yeah, gloves are a little overkill, but it's just good. Something I like to do sometimes. Okay. I've also got a Google Translate on my phone, so I can do some quick machine translations. You never want to trust machine translations too much, but they can definitely help just get the process started while you're waiting for volunteers. So I have the package from Shiny Tentacruel. Thank you, Shiny Tentacruel, for sending the package in. I'm gonna open this now, and we'll get the camera aiming down here. Oh, I should put some music on as well. Found an extended track that I can work with. And if my music or mic is too loud or too soft, let me know and I'll readjust. That is some nice cover art. Alright, so the goal being to extract all the knowledge we can out of this guidebook. That's a cute little icon. They definitely had fun designing this because all the individual rectangles perfectly nested around each other to fit all of this content in. Looks like there's some maps in here. Example areas of the game. This is probably just a walkthrough for the most part. Some information. This is gonna be a lot of fun. It's too bright? Yeah, let me check that. Let's go with... Okay, that should be better. Yeah, I think that's good. Now, this is kind of interesting to me that that almost looks like Spanish or a similar language. No, it's not Spanish. French? Log presentation, de personages, so okay. Okay, so it has French. Yeah, that's interesting. I never seen that before. Alright, so the cover is also removable. So we'll get that out of the way here. And I'll also try to scan the cover, get as much of it as I can. History of Ion. So I'm gonna just do a sample scan real quick here. See what I can snatch out of this. This one's easier. Okay, that says... A supreme magical treasure imbued with omnipotent magic. That is Legacy. Why did Ion create Legacy? Was it for the purpose of creating Legacy, or did she use Legacy to solve the mystery of the world? Did you try to create that thing? Legacy is silent and doesn't say anything, keeping all the mysteries covered. The only thing that is certain is that a human who obtains Legacy will obtain a huge amount of magical power comparable to that of Ion in the past. So, of course, the accuracy is to be questioned, but you can get the gist of what is being said with Google Translate for phone. The other side is a larger section, which I might wait to scan to get a better read on it. Go for this section. And this yellow section reads, and I've skipped around, but it says, but even if the record is erased, the memory remains. Even if the record is deleted from the history books, the memory of Legacy is transformed into a legend and keeps its lifeline. Legends tell of the threat of heritage and speak of the wonders of heritage. Even if it's a true record, even if it doesn't exist, huge power always attracts people. A king burning with power. The mages, driven by a thirst for knowledge, evade the surveillance of the Eastern Heavenly Kingdom and quest for inheritance. The children also dream while listening to the story of legacy, the day when the wish hidden in that young heart will come true with the magical power of inheritance. This is pretty cool stuff. So I've got a couple little pages on the history background of the world. We've got various characters here. I'm curious if they dive into the game mechanics at all. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very foreign to me. But I can kind of get the gist of what it's alluding to, like those common like storytelling elements. Now I think this is some kind of index, what page you can find various things. And this is some kind of character or enemy HP listing. I'm seeing HP values and several other values. I'm also seeing buttons depending on how many combo attacks there are. I'm seeing circle, triangle. I'll have to dissect all of that as well. Oh, but we have a bestiary, definitely. There's a pumpkin, there's a skeleton, a witch with an auto turret of some kind. That's some kind of cannon. It looks like a dinosaur, a two-headed dog. This is fun. Yeah, you'll be able to get some nice cutouts when I scan these in. I think you'll be able to get these in good enough resolution. You can use them as Discord stickers and other things as well. And there's going to be other data that goes with this that you can use to fill out your data spreadsheets if you don't already have all this info about what the monsters can do. Official maps, those are always nice. Occasionally there are individual, like specific cutouts for some of these characters. I don't know if they match the ones in that bestiary or not, but ooh, nice dragon here. I'm just now realizing the the picture is upside down for you. I will. I wonder if I can flip that upside down. Filters. Noise gate. Flip vertically. So if I'm over here, it's over there. That might be good for now. Okay, so from here, these pages are a little shorter. These pages almost look frayed, but that's okay. This is an excellent condition guidebook, but assumingly it should be easy to remove these. So what I'm gonna do is, yeah, it's mirrored. I was gonna just rotate it like 180 degrees. OBS, rotate. Edit, transform. So let's get rid of the flip. Transform. Does that work? Is this okay? Okay, great. Alright, so temporarily I am going to mute my microphone because part of what I do in many cases is I use a hair dryer that helps melt some of the remaining glue on the spine and makes it much easier to get the pages out. So I'm going to mute my mic while I do that for a minute or two. Okay, so step one is to remove the outer cover to expose the inner spine. It'll also allow me to start using a utility knife to trim just at the very outermost edge to get the, if there's a mass of glue, to trim that down to size so that there's much less to cut through when tearing the pages out. Okay, now with debinding, there's only so much you can do. There is going to be a crease. This can be flattened by, just putting it in between two really thick textbooks that are really heavy, and it'll help flatten that out a bit. And when it goes in the scanner, it'll be fine enough. But for the most part, you'll have a scan of this by itself and a scan of that by itself, and the spine, when the spine is scanned, you can just like crop the image to just show the little bit in the middle. Of course, you can also, if you prefer, scan it while the cover is still on. I could have done that. Just dawned on me. So we've got a little bit of that paper remaining on the outer edge. That's fine. It's closer up on the top. And the glue, now I have a very low quality camera, unfortunately. It's a 720p C270 from Logitech, but although it's not focused, just know that there's like just like 2 millimeters of glue there, with a little bit of air pockets in between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop that off so there's almost no glue left, and then these pages will come out like nothing. Every guidebook's a little different, but it doesn't look too bad here. And of course, what's the angle of attack going to be? I'll go from the side, go from the top. Always be careful when handling sharp tools. And if you're an amateur and you ever try to do this, it's okay to make small mistakes. The glue isn't going to be perfectly cut off anyway. If you end up cutting part of the actual page, that's okay too, because when they make these things, even back then, they knew that, you know, don't put anything precious on the outer edge. The main content should not be near the spine. So if you accidentally take a few millimeters off the page, that is totally okay. This is a really thin layer. Just want to get right in there. There we go. So the goal here is to just thin the spine, get rid of that line of glue as much as we can. Sometimes the pages already come out really easily, but I still like to get some of the glue out anyway, especially if some of the paper got stuck on. Get that off the top, maybe. There we go. So this process just takes a couple minutes usually, and then we'll use the hair dryer again to help loosen up the little remaining bit of glue, and we'll go page by page. In some cases, only a couple pages or one page will come free at a time. Other times I've been able to get like 50 to 100 pages out all in one swoop. So it just kind of depends. I'm at a bad angle here, so I might cut this away from the camera. There we go. Now I see you. And if you have any questions about this process or about me, feel free to ask. I'm open to any questions I can answer. I'm kind of stabbing in the middle because I want to see how thick the glue is in the middle. It seems pretty straight, but you can never be too sure. I am left-handed. I do some things like right-handed folks do, like I use a mouse with my right hand like everybody else, and certain sports when I was growing up, but I'm left-handed. Almost all my dexterity is in my left hand. I have a little more strength in my right hand maybe, but it's so unwieldy that it doesn't matter. Very much left-handed. I'm in the... I don't remember the percentage, but I think that's a minority. Okay, let's get a little deeper in here. That's a big chunk. There we go, now that's showing the pages. And this is easier if you have like if you have one of those drop slicer things where it comes down, you know, schools have them, the drop slicer things. You can technically use that if it's the right size, and it's way faster. But you have to be quite precise when you do it. You don't want to fuck that up. Okay. This is still really bright. Can I go down even one more on the, see, properties, configure. Down to -8 on the exposure. Okay, so over here, I've still got some of the paper from the outer cover, got stuck onto the glue. In this section, you can almost kind of see the pages. When you can start seeing the page coloration there, that's good. And then when you don't see the page coloration, there's still a lot of glue left. There we go. Yeah, you can always, you know, take pictures of the book while you have it kind of bent out, but you won't get much quality preserved, especially for the images. Whenever possible, I like to recommend debinding and scanning. You know, I wish there would be a few more dev teams out there who, you know, keep the project files, because they have to have project files to assemble these pages before they're printed. And if they could just share those, you know, export those project files as PNGs, then you could just have those instead of scans. Which also, you know, if there's any high-res renders, not just, you know, 3D models from the game, but like, you know, well-drawn renders that were in higher quality than the PS1 could handle at the time, in this case, then you'll just have that digital image in your archive. Whereas if you're scanning a page, it'll have that half-toning because it saves on costs, you know? And then you have to doctor that up with software. And even then, it's just... you can never fully restore the quality. Alright. Almost done with this part, and then we're going to do another round of using the hairdryer. This glue is really strong. I did not expect it to be this tough today. You got me a really well-bound book. Okay, so I'm gonna wipe this off to the side. Hair dryer once again. Could we switch to this music? Which one is that? Let me pause that one, and I'll take that one. All right. We will run that and let me know when you want me to switch it again. On to the hairdryer. It's incredibly hot. The book is very hot right now. It'll be okay, but yes, it's hot. So once I get a little closer, I can show you what these books almost always seem to look like. Yeah, that's a little easier. Ironically, the glue gets a little gooey, but it's still better than being freaking stiff. Probably being a little too cautious on the cutting. That's a bigger piece. There we go, much better. And this is so worth it because it makes the page separation so much easier. Okay. Almost at the fun part. That's better. Got a little bit left in the middle. Chunk right there. Alright, so let's look at the progress. You can see more of the page coloration there, because the ink comes to the end of the page. So I've got a little more to do right here, and then we can start separating pages and see how hard it is. Every guidebook's a little different, just depends. But there's a few common elements that I'm about to show you. This music is really catchy. Oh. Okay, here we go. This glue is really stubborn. But I like this glue design better. I mean, most of my strategy guides that were manufactured in North America, of the ones I have, you know, this isn't a general judgment, but of the ones I have, they seem to often just be of lower quality with the spine. I have the official guide for Pokemon Red and Blue. That one didn't last more than 5 or 6 years. Maybe I mishandled it as a child. That could be a case as well, but the spine was not like this. So some of my North American strategy guides are just like either a few pages are loose or like the whole book is loose. This just seems like a much more thorough job. Alright, let's see. A little bit more here. Just a little bit. Okay, so something to know about these pages. It seems like it's the same as Legend of Dragoons in this case. Maybe it was a very common technique. I need to get off the top piece there. Just a little bit. Just a tiny little bit. Now, unfortunately, some of the outer shell got stuck over the top of this first page, but I think it'll be okay. I just need to work around it a little bit. Just a little glue off the top there. Should help quite a bit. Yeah, that'll work. I'm just skimming a tiny little bit off the corner. It's totally acceptable. It's not going to be anything of value on the very tippy edge, and that's also just getting the glue down to size here. Whenever you do the first page of a book, always go incredibly slow to gauge how much glue is left, how sticky it still is. Because once you get a rip, you cannot come back from that unless you got extra guidebooks to throw around. And while you can bend a page, you don't want to create any major creases, because then that can impact the quality of the scan. Okay, so the first page is out. I'd like to demonstrate. So when they do the spine along the edge, they've got that flat level of glue that's a few millimeters thick. In addition to that, you can kind of see these little holes along the end. There's a hole here and here and here. and here. Those holes are also areas with glue, kind of like a 3-ring binder has those rings for extra, you know, not a great comparison, never mind. Point being, there's glue where these holes are, so it's extra reinforced every so often. There's probably a construction analogy in there somewhere. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get all of this off the front, but that doesn't matter. So that's page 1. And as you go, the spine is still going to be, you know, intact along the edge. So as you go, the spine is kind of risen up over the rest of the pages, like a used notebook almost. When you have those like tearing points or whatever those are called. And it looks like they really went right to the edge with the ink after all. With Dragoon's guidebook, they had space so you could have a margin of error, but this has no margin of error. And with these glue points, I'm gonna have to see if I can improve this. It might just be how big the glue is. So if I take that away, I might be able to save a little bit of it. Because if these sections of glue are allowed to stay on top here, they can cause extra ripping in the page, where the actual glue hole is probably a little smaller than that if you just get the top off. So every like 5 or 10 pages you want to trim that back down. Work with me, there we go. Yeah, so there's no way to get the full page because they're indented with glue in the first place, but I will make sure I minimize that effect. I appreciate you trusting me, Tentacruel. Even though I captured so many of you 20 years ago in a little Game Boy interface. I usually just capture the base type Pokemon and then evolve them myself, but once in a while I go for the Evos so I can do a compare and contrast. What I can't tell you is whether I used a fishing rod or if I just swam around. This is a big section we've got to get rid of here. Alright, and one more. Okay. Let's get some more pages. That's a little large. I wonder if I can get that out of there. So yeah, this one came out like nothing. See, that's why you want to make sure you get these, keep these glue edges down as you go, and adjust as needed. I don't like how that turned out, so I'm gonna just get a little extra off the edge there. And maybe we'll get lucky at some point. We'll be able to pull more than one page at a time, or even get a whole section out. Oop, 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 that was a little risky. this piece is being stubborn. Now, I don't claim to be the best on the planet, but I think this is going pretty well. Can I get more glue off the side, maybe? Now, one thing you can try to do, I don't try to do this normally, but you can try to attack the these little glue blots every so often. If you try and get that whole section out, it could help potentially, but you really want to be careful because you only need to cut like 1 millimeter or 2. And even if you do that, it's like you got to make your 2 cuts meet in the middle, and but it is remotely possible. And yeah, so I just got a whole little section of glue out there, so that'll help that section come out a lot easier every time I get to that part of a page. And I guess I could just go ahead and do that a little bit. And another one. Maybe I'm better at this than I thought I was. Don't cut my glove. Now, of course, the process, in a way, is very boring, so I do not claim to be a major entertainer with this process either, but I will be making this into a speed debinding, probably, even if I do the whole thing over the course of multiple days, like with the scanning. Because not scanning the whole thing today is not, it's just not going to work, but I can piece together a like a speed painting kind of a video. Time-lapse, that's what I'm thinking of, time-lapse video. I like time-lapse videos quite a bit. Don't cut my hand. Yeah, I'm thinking about the glove, but I should be worrying about my hand. Alright, and I want to get one more near the top, and we'll see what difference that makes. This has got an air pocket. Do that much. Just a little bit. Cool. I feel like this one's going to be a problem as well. So we'll knock this one out. There we go. That's what I want to see. That's the real page. Okay. Maybe I should just take out these, most of these fillings next time. Be like a dentist. Gotta remove the fillings. Smooth like butter. Can I do multiple at a time? Yep. Just gotta gauge your pressure. Gauge the resistance you feel on your left and right hand. I just scooped up like 12 pages. I may not even separate them all tonight, but just to remove them all from the spine is my goal, and I can do some scans and show you an example of what that looks like. I want to just kind of simulate each piece of the process, like a preview of each step, and then I'll go fully in depth off stream, and you'll see my progress posted in the Discord server from time to time. Yep, multiple pages, no problem. We've got less accumulation on the side now as well, taking out some of those fillings. I'm just going to call them fillings. Do I have any experience with cosplay? I almost did, but I did not find the full motivation or confidence to do so. My first username on a cosplay website, I think it was cosplay.com, was like Lavitz_Slambert, because I was having a strong affinity for Lavitz at the time from Legend of Dragoon. I never ended up making an outfit though, because it just proved very challenging. What I wanted to do was, like, I'd already seen some cosplay, and while I respect cosplay outfits that are, you know, necessarily low budget, or, you know, they didn't have a lot of time to work on it, I really wanted something that stood out and was really, like, high quality looking, and that doesn't correlate well with budget. Trying to learn at home DIY stuff, I was totally out of my league, out of my depth, I guess. So I might just hire someone to make me something professional someday. But I did a little theater in school. I wish I had taken it further. I feel like another version of me is just a total theater buff, and you know, I've done roleplay and stuff online before in various fandoms. So there's definitely a lot of potential there for that. I had a soft spot for improv comedy as well. Certain mini games were really exciting to me. It's still nerve-wracking. Sorry, Zerko. There's always a little risk live while you're doing it. It's just about minimizing that risk as much as possible. Now we're at the point where you know, we've got these fillings. How can I show this? The fillings are risen up a bit, so we're going to trim those down to ensure that the pages keep ripping away cleanly. This glue accumulation. Depending on the RNG of your effort, the RNG of the spine, sometimes you can get away with like tearing all the pages out and not cutting the spine down as you go, and then you just have a spine left over. I had like a whole centimeter thickness of LOD spine. It was really weird. I didn't understand it. In this case, there's probably not going to be much of a spine left. It's also a smaller book. Yeah, let's cut that filling out to make this a little easier. There we go. I'm going to take out that filling. Gently. Get a little more of that one out. If they're tall enough, you can use your finger to pull them down the side of the spine, just as a quick measure. You were a stage tech? That's so cool. Wish I had met you. Oh yeah, gravy. Let's go for a bigger section. Oh yeah. And sometimes you get lucky in, like, when you're tearing out like a section of 3 or 4 or 10 pages, it'll take those extra bits of spine with it, those fillings, and I'm already back down to a smooth spine here. So I got lucky. Every debinding is kind of like its own little story in that way. Town theme? Okay, I'll click that. Let me close that and close that. Okay. I will be taking a break at some point for dinner. That is not a problem for me. I'm fine to just bring it to my desk and eat with my mic off or whatever if necessary. And also, if you manage to get more than one page at a time, it can make the individual pages easier to separate as well. See? So if you can get a stack of like 4 to 12, then they may separate from each other easier than doing just one page constantly from the main, from the remaining spine. Okay, we're getting a little bit of tear here on the back side, so I'm going to trim this down again. Doesn't need much, just a little bit. There's really not much glue left, so I did a good job on the spine. Like, it looks really rough when you see me trying to cut it, but it makes a big difference. How long am I going to go today? Maximum 2 hours. I have a thing after the 3rd hour, 9 CDT. I'm training someone on wiki editing to help us with the Legend of Dragoon wiki, which I've been looking to find more volunteers for a while now, and it's definitely time we got some more help. They have writing experience, and they even mentioned vernacular. And I was like, well, haven't heard that in a long time, so it sounds like you might be the right fit. Just a little bit off the top. And we're almost done separating the spine for the most part. Just getting some extra bits of glue off the edge. Make this... Also, when the spine is not as thick, the glue is way easier to remove, so that's also part of it. Like, I think if I do another debinding, I'll probably try to separate the book in half, so I have two spines of half the height, and then it should be much easier to chop them down accurately and with less time involved, perhaps. So I can just do longer cuts and not be doing these little stabby bits. Okay, that should be good. Yeah, you're doing something important. I told my peeps I am entirely unavailable unless there is an emergency. Ask somebody else for help. That's gonna cause a rip a little bit, so let's just do a couple little pages at a time before I get to that section. That's the one. So there's going to be I don't think I can avoid that. There's glue in between the pages is the problem. I can't really do much about this. Using a hair dryer isn't going to do much to help that. There we go. Oh, look at these. Sketch art. These are treasures. Sketch art is some of the least you see for game dev with you know the product going out to the public. They might show a few during the credits or something, but this is a nice little treasure trove of, you can see the arm being added onto the base model here, the wings in the back being traced. This is super cool. Y'all are gonna have a field day with this. Get a bigger section, keep that spine under control. You know, if this process were called a wrestling move, it would be the spine buster. Ha! Used to watch wrestling as a kid. More finished concept art in the soundtrack booklet, that's cool. You should probably get that scanned in as well. If it's the kind of manual that just has staples on it, you can definitely remove the staples without any professional experience required. I'm gonna hold close to that point of contention. If you see a point of contention, you can use the utility knife to try and cut it down first to that glue spot, or you can hold your finger on the spot to prevent it from causing any tears, which is what I'm doing. It's more likely to happen when you're trying to get a bunch of pages at once. And we're near the end. Some information about Rue here. Come on, work with me. Work with me. There we go. Alright. And information about Mint as well. Now, naturally, with the Legend of Dragoon guidebook, or maybe just about any guidebook out there, there's going to be a mixture of both common and rare information, depending on how much the developers are willing to divulge, or how much the journalists are trying to be in touch with the developers. Depends. So you'll probably see a lot of things you already know, or are just reworded in a new way, but there should also be some juice in here of some kind. So there we have it. I have separated out several of the pages. Oops. So I will rip up the rest of these, not rip, but like separate the rest of the pages. I'll do some more tonight, but I want to do a couple scans and demonstrate that process as well. That's a really nice piece of art. Less anecdotes original. Yeah, definitely. Oh my goodness. Okay, so my scanner's already on. My arm hurts. My arm needs some rotation. Oh dear. Pop, pop, pop. Has it already been an hour? Doesn't feel like it. Oh jeez. You have a few pictures of the pages, no fancy. I was looking in your Discord server. I liked how you arranged some of the information through a forum channel. That was a creative use of it, definitely. Kind of shows all these like thumbnails I can click into and see what the galleries are. But you don't have... Did you check archive.org? Is there any chance there's a scan on archive.org? Because that was the case with the Legend of Dragoon guidebook. It just depends on if someone happens to decide to do that. But it's usually in very low res, because, you know, random person in the fandom with a random, you know, all-in-one printer, which was me for a long time. Not this one, really. Okay. Well, maybe this will get added to archive.org, who knows? I just gotta find the right settings. I could probably use very similar settings to what I did for the guidebook. Oh yeah, there's some more sketch art woven in here. KH Insider. Yeah, I've been to that site. That's a pretty interesting old resource. So yeah, if you get this stuff scanned and preserved, then you'll have the information as the developers worded it, or as they relayed to the editors of the book, anyway. And you'll get the pictures. Ooh, that's a nice sketch. I'll probably do a little more machine translation as well, but I'm gonna probably do it through the scans, because that just, it's sometimes easier for me to translate it off my computer than with my phone. So, pages I want to use. We'll do a couple history pages. We'll do all the history pages. Why not? I'll set these over here. I'm gonna make sure you close your utility knife. Put away the hairdryer. Don't need that anymore. So I'm going to do pages like 12 through 15 on that. Get this out of the way. Oh my goodness. I am going to replace my gloves. The guide for English has been scanned, and a Korean guidebook from a magazine, question mark. That sounds like a fun rabbit hole. Okay, so I'm gonna move this over. Let's do this. Okay. I'm upside down. Let me fix that. Transform, rotate 180. And it's really dark because of the light. So configure video. Yeah. This is really hard to tune. That's bright enough. Spider Drew cuts out. Okay. Spider Drew cuts out all the guidebook glue. Dun, 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 dun. You know, if I end up making a whole theme song out of that, it's entirely your fault. Oh my gosh. Yep, take care, Zerko. Thanks for coming by. This whole thing will be available to view later anytime. I'm going to keep the recording up on my channel. So, I'm really thirsty. Let's solve that. Alright, so we're going to do some scanning. The French is so interesting. I understand, you know, say, if it was a guidebook that was based out of Canada, the main language might be English or French, and then the other supplemental. But is there... Do you know if there's a reason why it's French? Some of these headings? Is there like a small part of Japan that is just really into French? I'm gonna have to ask some of our LOD translators. At least one lives in Japan, so I could ask. Alright, so we're gonna use some scans here. Okay. Let's see. There was not a French translation of the game that was released, but there was a mod of some sort. Okay. My area is a mess. Oh, by the way, one of my gifts at Christmas time was a little miniature vacuum. So all I have to do is flip the switch on the side. You hear that? That just hoovers up all this stuff. I don't know how loud it is, so I kind of muted my mic there. And it all hides in this little thing. Cute. Not too loud? Alright, so we're gonna do a scan. Okay, here we go. Do I want to do it with the unsharp mask? Probably not. Maybe medium? So I gotta play around with the settings a little bit, but we're gonna get a scan rolling here and I'll show it on stream. Let's move this over. Let's do that. Threads of Fate, JP Guidebook, and that'll be our target location. I'm just adjusting the settings here. I'll also just share my screen to make that a little easier. That's good enough. Alright. So that's over here. Document. 24-bit color. 600 DPI is going to be excessive. I'll do 300 just to get it rolling. Medium to descreening. Descreening should be on. And let's get the scanning underway. So we're going to call this JP GB equips. No, not equips. We'll call it GB number, and the number doesn't matter yet. We'll keep it as bitmap, and do that. Actually, let's try that again. There we go. All right. So the scans themselves are very fast. Oop. Now I have a slight issue with my scanner in that I can't make it perfectly just scan the edge. I can do that, but maybe I will do that anyway. So I have some white space here, but we can get rid of that. So let me do I guess it's a preview. And then we're gonna capture that much. And we'll do a zoom. That's better. Alright, so now we'll do a scan. Call this 012. And see if the coloration comes out right before I proceed. Color seems good. I might adjust it a little bit. This can also be done with Photoshop later. Alright, now if I translate this again, it should be easier. Camera. Long ways. $2,000 years ago, or 5,000 years ago, or 10,000 years ago. An ancient world so far away that even time loses its meaning was ruled by those who boasted immense magical power. It is said that their magical power shook the heavens and the earth, and even changed the movement of the stars. They were demigods, who were human and surpassed humans, splitting the seas for fun and destroying continents for fun. Humans were not even their slaves, they were just pitiful livestock. Who were they? They may have been researchers who unlocked the secrets of a hidden world. They may have been people from another world who came from somewhere other than here. May have been a high priest who obtained the power of a god, or perhaps they were the children of the gods who abandoned heaven. But it's all speculation. History tells us nothing. Their origins and identities have all sunk to the bottom of the flow of time, and there is no way to unravel the hidden truth. They, the Aeons, never appeared in history and passed away beyond the vague legends. That's some good story writing. I think this translation came out excellent. Nice. And right below that, this section. So is this review for you? At the time when Ion disappeared, mankind still did not know letters. It was the storytellers who spun the stories, not the historians who told the truth, who watched their decline. Folklore that tells of the disappearing Aeons has been handed down in various parts of the world, but they have been forced to change in the passage of time and have lost their value as truth records. What was left was not an accurate record, but only a vague memory. As time passes, memories fade and disappear. Even if it doesn't disappear, it distorts and eventually fades and becomes hazy. Ion's truth was rapidly lost, only legacy remained unchanged. Before letters, yeah. Every little sentence can totally change things. That's how I feel with Legend of Dragoon. It's like, common things you already know, common things you already know, common things you already know. Extra special rare bit in the middle with like 3 words. What? It's very common when doing these things. Let's do another page. We'll just legacy and inheritance equals relics. Okay. So I'll just do. We should just do this whole section right now. It's only a couple pages. 12. And there's a little more down there, so I'll get that as well. But we'll scan that. See, this is the fun part, where I don't have to worry about if I'm going to damage it or not. There's a little other section on this page. Let's see here. What does this say? Lost memories and legacy, leftover legacies. Alright, the green text on the lower left. The supreme existence that disappeared into the darkness of history. So let's check that section here. Aion is said to have reigned over a world long ago. Here is an episode about the supreme being Aion, A-I-O-N, written by Mr. Daisuke Watanabe, who is in charge of the scenario of this work. We will reveal the reality of the mysterious Aion, I think that's with an E, unless it's still with an A, and the world situation after they disappeared into the distance of history. Cool. Let's get another scan in. Ruin mint pages toward the end may be interesting. Okay. The boss data page after the bestiary will be useful. Not the kind of translation that can be done easily. Yeah, I mean, I'll get all these digitized into my hard drive, and we'll go from there piece by piece. Alright, so I want to bring up my scan preview, and we'll do another scan. This will be page 13. You have a Google Drive or something now, right? You have a resource archive that I can dump these in? Okay. Well, maybe I can help upgrade your archive situation as well. Get everything organized and housed together, perhaps. This says heritage something. Creating an enigmatic legacy. Okay. Get my mouse out of the way. A supreme magical treasure that contains omnipotent magical power, that is Legacy. Why did Aion create Legacy? What is the purpose of creating Legacy? It says, did you try to create that thing? That's probably not translated right. Legacy is silent and doesn't say anything, keeping all the mysteries covered. The only certainty is that a human who obtains Legacy will obtain a huge magical power. Yeah, I think I read that earlier. Okay, so this is kind of review. So we'll go to the next page. Flip it over. Run it again. I am so hungry. Personal drives, yeah. They only have a 15 gigabyte limit, which I never got into Dropbox. That's part of why I still use Google Drive. And also, on like Earth Day, one of those years, they gave us like 2 extra gigabytes free, so I have 17 gigs. And I'll never get that back. Alright, number 14. Let's see what we got here. Cataclysm caused by the power of heritage. Tragedy struck when the too mighty legacy fell into the hands of humans. One of the legacy that the emperor who ruled the North Sea was sealed in an iceberg. Heaven's Horn found the Heaven's Horn. The emperor, driven mad by the Horn's magical power, launched an invasion across the land. Thus begins the Horn War. Protected by a horn that opens the gates to other worlds, the emperor's army boasts of invincibility, and all resistance was meaningless. Many nations were reduced to ashes, and the world was on the verge of destruction. Legacy was the only thing that could compete with Legacy. Okay. It is said that millions of lives were lost before the dragoons who controlled the Lance of Chaos defeated the Emperor and sealed Heaven's Horn. Gotta have dragoons in there, even though it's not related to Legend of Dragoon. Why am I reading the word dragoon in another fandom? Stop it. I don't care if it was a semi-common term. That is a nothing alert. Okay. Let's go down to the next section. The GP Wikipedia indicates one person that rode a dragon that used the Chaos Spear. Okay. Dragon Wylaf that appears in the game. Alright. Yeah, I mean, even the Japanese Wikipedia page for Legend of Dragoon also has a bunch of the lore from the guidebook, which technically isn't to form. You shouldn't have the entire guidebook contents dumped into a Wikipedia article, but for some reason it hasn't been QA'd yet, probably because it's not English, and only English is heavily scrutinized. I don't know. Shortly after the end of the Horn War, a nation is born. It is the Eastern Heaven Kingdom, the kingdom which was established by the heroes of the Horn War to restore human society, achieved rapid development with the help of the legacy Book of Cosmos, restoring peace and stability to the dying world. Eventually, when the reconstruction project settled down, the kingdom took on a new mission. If Legacy reappears in the world, a second and third Horn War could erupt. Therefore, the Eastern Heavenly Kingdom strictly concealed the information on heritage that had been sealed around the world, and tried to pull the heritage away from human hands. As a result, records and many records related to Ion and Legacy were disposed of, and the truth about Ion, which was originally shrouded in mystery, was sunk into a deeper mystery. Okay. East Heaven Kingdom is descendants from this warrior mince lineage. The goal is to protect and hide relics. Cool. Warrior, dragon, and witch presumed to be fancy enough to make them yeah. Alright, and then what does that say? Birth of the Toten Kingdom and its important mission in Legend. Alright, let's get page 15 to finish out this little diary of sorts. I'm curious what's on 16 as well, so I'll probably do 16. And this is the last part. An old memory that continues to live in a different form. So let's However, even if the record is erased, the memory remains. Even if the record is deleted from the history books, the memory of legacy is transformed into a legend and keeps its lifeline. The legend tells of the threat of legacy and tells of the wonders of legacy. Even if it's not a true record, great power always fascinates. The king with a thirst for power and a group of mages driven by a thirst for knowledge continue their quest for legacy, while avoiding the surveillance of the Eastern Heaven Kingdom. And the children also dream while listening to the story of legacy. The day when the wish hidden in that young heart will come true with the magical power of inheritance. In every era, there are those who set out in search of Ion's legacy. Some for lust, some for hope, some for ambition. That's pretty incredible. New music. Okay. I'm gonna just see what's on 16 in case it's juicy. You never know what's juicy or not juicy unless you speak the language. Scan for 16. So what I'll do when like I do my full sit down, I'll just go every page in order, bit by bit, and separate the few that didn't get fully separated out yet, and just get it all scanned in and done, and review it and make sure it's good. And then from there you can just focus on the you know, whether you want to hold your phone up to the computer screen or whichever way you want to do it, and I can help you with that a little bit here and there if you need help with certain sections. But ideally you will have a in-house translator, like a fan who speaks Japanese. Heaven's Horn stuff is the juicy stuff you were expecting? Yeah, I'm glad. Alright, let's see what happens with page 16. Gotcha. Like in Legend of Dragoon, one of my favorite little notes is that they mentioned that all the fruits from the divine tree, there's 108 of them. And every species alive today, compared to many, many thousands and thousands of years ago, all present species are either of the original 108 species or evolutions of them. And it goes out of its way to mention, just for Zakwell's species, they are one of the original 108. And they have multiple names, like Residents of the Darkness and the Writhing Darkness. I love saying the Writhing Darkness. That's just a really cool name for them. Just a more fancy name for demons. So and it's just hard. It's mentioned in one little spot. And it's so easy to miss, and it looks like a bad translation. Anyway, all right. Let's see what this says. A new era that everyone forgot, such as the existence of Ion. You might like this section. I'm not sure. So you got to tell me here. How much time has passed since the Eastern Heaven Kingdom was founded? How many mages have died without unraveling the truth about inheritance? A legendary treasure left by Ion? That's just a fairy tale, is what everyone says. The times are slowly starting to change. The sight of adventurers traveling from ruin to ruin has become rare. Even among those few adventurers, those who believe in the legend of legacy are even rarer. All of them are people who excavate like thieves in search of gold and silver treasures that have been sleeping since ancient times. In order to make the wish come true, he risks his life to search for legacy. It was considered a grossly anachronistic act. I thought that'd be a little more juicy. What does this say? Hello, Tishard Nathaniel. Welcome to the live stream. We are checking random sections of the guidebook for bits of juicy lore. The boy was looking for himself. This is not translating very well. I had no memory of what happened before I woke up. who I am, where did I come from, what was I trying to do. In order to confirm that, the boy Rue started walking outside the ruins. Believe that there will be people who know you and who will accept you, without knowing that a great tragedy awaits them ahead. Okay. So I'll probably skip 17 on that basis. I'm gonna quickly use my phone on these actual pages just to see what it says. 5 years ago, Rue woke up in a coffin in a certain ruins. I had no memory of falling asleep. Who were you? What were you trying to do? In order to find the answer, Rue left the ruins and wandered aimlessly and finally arrived at Claire. And doing it just like this offhand, you know, it might be a little inaccurate, but I'm just quickly checking here. 2 years have passed since Lou started living in Claire's house. The incident happened without warning. Claire was murdered by the right hand of a mysterious man who suddenly appeared. After that day, Rue will once again wander the world. In order to find legacy and revive Claire, Rue, it's almost here, Claire. Okay. Oh, what does that say in the corner there? There's a tiny little bit on the side. Rue's favorite weapon is the arc edge. Do you know that? A weapon that Rue has had since he woke up. In addition to fighting, he is also active in his hobby of DIY. I love that. For Mint, the weapon is Dual Harlow, a ring that can be used as a magic caster. Despite its appearance, its attack power is quite strong. What does this say? All right. We've got some character pages. If you've got a page in mind that you already skimmed over, like, let me know and I'll machine it up for you. But I'm otherwise just gonna pick through at random here really quick. 17, 12. Make sure I keep the pages in the right order. These are artworks. Toward the end. Okay, toward the end. That's part of the strategy. These ones? $134 and $135. Green and pink. This one? Yeah, this looks like... Okay, yeah. Johnny Wolf, the coolest dog in the game? Maybe. Alright, looking at Mint's page really quick. Mint, who fled the kingdom of heaven, became a treasure hunter and pursued information about heritage. What is the feud with Belle, who met there? Mint is in a big pinch against the attacking snake-headed giant. A huge hammer hit the floor directly, grazing Mint's hair, which she quickly dodged. A roaring roar shakes the subterranean air, scattering fragments of crushed cobblestones. The snake-headed giant bares its fangs as if mocking the confused Mint. A tongue split in two, swayed between yellow, ragged teeth. This. The flash that bursts in the darkness is Mint's magic, Vulcan. The giant body of the Guardian shook slightly due to the smashing light. But that's all. The snake-headed giant licked its tongue and raised its hammer again. Another voice shouted from behind Mint, "Stay back, I'll burn you." A scorching arrow pierced the side of Mint, who flew away, and the next moment, the scream of the Guardian resounded. The flame magic that Belle shot scorched the giant's eyes. The Guardian writhes in agony, opening its mouth wide and screaming. Cool. So maybe an excerpt from the game? Or, oh no? Really? Juicy! Do we have Juicy? Oh my. Allow me to get the next section for you then. Sure. Let's check my OBS real quick. Yep, OBS still good. Absolutely brand new. Okay, then we should continue, at least for a little bit. Let me, try and get this oriented right. And of course, this is an approximation. Keep that in mind. Right after that, as soon as the Guardian dies, the huge door behind it begins to open. Well, treasure. Belle reminds Mint to dance. Don't forget, the treasure you find will be divided equally. I can't believe it. No wonder Belle sighed bluntly. Anyway, just an hour? It's someone I met just a while ago. The two met by chance in the depths of the ruins where ancient treasures sleep. Both of them were aiming for the same treasure, so it turned into a dangerous mood. However, monsters attacked them, and before they knew it, a strange duo had formed. And that's only half of it. There's another page here as well. The door, which makes an unpleasant creaking sound, slowly opens as if to tease the two of them. It's a slippery door. Open it quickly. Mint kicked in, but the heavy stone door stood still. I can't translate that line. Frustrated, Mint forced her body into the half-open door, slipping inside. Don't run around. Trying to follow, Belle faced a harsh reality. Mint was able to pass through, but Belle's body got stuck. With boundless anger and hatred, Belle kicked the door. And one last bit. Dozens of seconds after Mint, Belle's gaze was drawn to the center of the room. As he managed to pass through the door, a pile of treasure glitters brilliantly on an old marble pedestal. With this amount, I can pay off my debt. Mint, who at that time was about to run towards the mountain of treasure while dancing, I like it. Again, bear with me on this translation. Was hiding behind the door, exploded at the back of Belle's head with a flying kick. The last thing Belle heard in her fading consciousness was Mint's loud laughter. You shouldn't show me how you like it. Musical note. When Belle woke up after a while, there was no shadow or form of Mint, and, of course, treasure. Interesting. That needs some more refined translation, but now you have the gist of it, and this can become a project for whoever can translate this for you. Do you want me to do Rue as well? 2 pages? Okay, we'll do Rue. This has a longer section on the first page and some little stuff here as well. That's really hard to translate. I'm skipping that. The days until Rue, who searches for legacy to revive Claire, reaches the city of Corona. It was a nightmare and lonely days. Okay, now the main segment. Light sleep and days of loneliness. That's how this is headed. Rue's sleep is always shallow, because the dream you see is always fixed. A smiling Claire or a cold Claire. Both are painful for Rue. My dream last night was both. Clean the room where you spent your short days, get dressed and move to the inn, go downstairs. Aware of the cold stares of his master sitting at the counter, Rue lowered his head. Thank you for your help until now. The master only snorted. When I snatched the lodging fee that Rue offered me, I pointed at the exit door with my chin. Faced with blatant hostility, Rue silently turned his back on his master. As I closed the door behind me, I heard a low voice spitting out. A voice said, "You monster." Rue came to this small town in search of heritage about a month ago. The month passed quickly while I was investigating the ruins scattered around the city. In the end, I couldn't find any clues about legacy, but instead I was able to open up to the people of the town. It was a warmth that I had almost forgotten. 3 years after losing Claire, Rue, who had been alone for a long time, was more than comfortable with the trust of the townspeople. So I thought I'd protect it. Protect the town, I suppose. And then page 2 of that section. There's 2 sections here. Back out of that. Let's try that again. Okay. In order to protect the city from the raids of bandits, Rue fought at the forefront. With the best of my strength, I repelled half of them, but there were too many of them. Confused, Rue had no choice but to use his hidden ability. Rue, who transformed into a monster, chased away the bandits in no time. However, there was not a single person who thanked Rue for saving the city. They just surrounded Rue from afar, pointed their fingers awkwardly, and whispered to each other. That's when Rue knew I no longer deserved to be in this city. After passing through the city and passing by the Riverside Road, the children who were playing ran away. I felt a staring gaze through the gap in the closed window. Rue heads for the dock to escape. A regular ship bound for the city of Corona was supposed to arrive soon. It is said that there are many ruins and studios hidden around the city of Corona. A clue may be found. This time, Relic, no, I have to find it. Rue's journey will not end until Claire is recovered. If Claire doesn't come back, Rue won't be able to rest. She was the only one who accepted Rue. Even when he learned about Rue's ability to transform, he just smiled and watched over me. Not fully confident here. The glare of the sunshine on the surface of the river hurts Rue now. Put the hat back on. Then Lou quickly walked away. And we'll go to the final segment. Yeah, this is before he goes to Corona. It's like the nightmarish and lonely days before going to Corona. That's what the heading said, anyway. Let's go this way. A rough hand stroked the dog's head, which was staring at Rue's back as he walked away. Are you worried about that boy? Looking down at the happy, tail-wagging dog, the red-haired man showed his white teeth. I see. The fact that you like me, it seems that you are the owner of a hot soul. I'd like to try a battle someday. He muttered gleefully, pulled his hat down to his nose, leaned against the crimson boat, and decided to continue his nap. And there you have it. And the heading for that was, a person with a hot soul. I guess it's meant literally. Alright. So there's some juice for you. That's what we were hoping to find with these previews. What time is it? 7:51. I'll do this a little bit longer, but within the next half hour or less, I will close the stream so I can have some food and have another arrangement after that. But we'll do a little bit more here. If we can find a little more juice or just review even, anything is good. I'm really glad that that turned out to be useful information. So these pages are going to be juicy right near the end. Those are like the last pages in the book. They're the very end of the book, of course. Looks like it has some character data for enemy bosses throughout the walkthrough as well. What does this say? I'm curious about this. Something about the annex. Maybe it's just describing. Let's see what this says. A long adventure is about to come to an end. This is the end of the walkthrough, I guess. From here, capture the key points in the 2 final battlefields. I'll lead you to just before the final boss. When the Mayan Tower appears, you'll have to unlock this page with your own hands. Also included as a special bonus are 2 original episodes newly written by the scenario writer of this work. Check it out. 2 original episodes newly written by the scenario writer. I guess that was the 2 things I just read already from Roadman's page. So this is probably a final boss, a walkthrough up to the final boss for the like following 4 or 5 pages. And then to be continued. To be continued. Let me see what this says. Okay, it just says to be continued. Alright. I know what it is to be thirsty for more. The Legend of Dragoon, we've been waiting 24 years now, almost. Some of us. What page is this? 156. Okay. I'm a little curious about this page. The terms, it says. It might have some interesting information. The Dewprism. Dark Hurricane weapon, Rod Tier 4 weapon. Great Coral Sea place name, the place where Hexagon was excavated. Underground Labyrinth place name, Elroy's Atelier. It's about a half day's walk from the city of Corona. Tiara, one of the amulets required to revive Brimador, control language selection and motor functions. Davis, a person who guards the docks in the town of Corona. So it's just a short, very short description of many characters or things. Tonio is the owner of the market in Corona. Trapmaster is Dollmaster's subordinate, a firefighter. I'm not sure if that says firefighter. Interesting. So it's like a little tiny, and some of the text is in red. Oh, that's because it defines what kind of thing it is. Okay. More terms, lots of terms. There's some more history stuff in here, perhaps. And I also want to check this area as well with the sketches. So let's see. If I, come on. Come on. My phone didn't want to cooperate with me there. Oh, ha, here we go. Now, I don't know how much they tell you in-game, so you'll have to tell me if this is news or not. Belle and Duke. Designed with contrasting colors, with the Belle being black and the Duke being white. By the way, the boundary between the presence or absence of a character's nose... Character's nose? What? 20 years old for males and 30 years old for females. Belle is barely safe. I'm not entirely confident with that translation. Presence or absence of a character's nose. I guess that's specific. Maya. Very short section for Maya. Maya to set herself apart, the former Queen Maya mint. The Buddhist Oriental taste is well sublimated. Prima doll. Prima, who was a girl in the initial setting, illustration on the left. Halfway through, it was pointed out that there were many female characters, so it was changed to a boy. According to Mr. Yusuda, we wanted to put a little more effort into the design. Prima doll was going to be a girl. Okay. Kraus family. Let's try the Kraus family. Ah, that is blurry. So blurry. Sorry about that. The Kraus or Klaus family was designed with the main aim of suggesting folklore in the world of the work through its details. Klaus. Okay, Klaus. There's more sketches I'll go back to as well. But first I'm curious about this section. In case it's juicy. Rich expression with full polygons. Dewprism does not use movies at all, and it is made entirely of full polygons. In the first place, the production project of this work itself started from the idea of, can we make a full polygon 3D game? Mr. Sugimoto, who is the main programmer, said, I didn't use movies because I was worried about the gap between the game screen and the game screen. I guess it means the gap between the two levels of visuals. But as a programmer, I wanted to do all the calculations in real time. As a result of that commitment, the characters' rich reactions and well-crafted camera work were realized. Okay. Let's get the next section. characters that add color to the story. Meaningless people don't exist in this game. I could have built a number of large towns to increase the volume, but to make it easier for people to communicate with each other, I intentionally built a minimal world. By placing the characters in a small country town that makes them feel connected to nature and the people around them, I tried to increase their individuality and importance. That's awesome. What I wanted to express with Dewprism. Yeah, we'll switch to one more track. This one must have ads associated with it. There we go. I'll probably wrap up in about like 10 minutes. Through the story of this work, I wanted to convey very obvious things, said Mr. Watanabe, who was in charge of the script. Rue saves Claire. Mint, world domination. The two seek legacy to fulfill their purpose, but there is a considerable difference in their attitudes. What I wanted to show by comparing these two people with contrasting personalities was not which one of them was right, but I wanted to express with Dewprism that that there is truth. That's what it means. Live like Rue, live like Mint. You are free to choose any method. Such ordinary things are at the heart of the story. As for the individual stories, the Rue edition is positioned as a story about an unreliable boy who overcomes his destiny and grows up, while the Mint edition, funny, is positioned as a story about Mint-san who doesn't depend on anyone, experiencing a squishy way of life. Also, the Rue arc is a story of brothers, and the Mint arc is a story of sisters. Awesome. There's even more here. Like I don't have time to check all of this, but there's gonna be quite a bit more juicy stuff. I'm just gonna look at a couple more character bits and call it there. We've got Right Arm of Death, Doll Master. I'm assuming this says Psycho Master, unless it's supposed to be PHY, FICO Master. Let me start with the front of this. It's a little faster to just scan off the pages than to scan them and then read them. So I just thought I'd do this to speed it up for you a bit. Rue. As you can see from the initial setting image on the bottom, the head and body are taller than the completed one. The illustration on the left is also tall and has an adult-like atmosphere. The image of folk costumes was incorporated from a very early stage. So Rue was initially taller in earlier drawings. Mint. At first, Mint was depicted with a gentle image. As development progressed, the setting was changed to a tougher character. Mr. Terada says, partly because I drew him kindly at first, I couldn't get used to drawing him with a tough face. And just a couple more. The Right Arm of Death. Another form of Doll Master, it is designed with a Western image based on black. Also pay attention to the fine details of the right arm and wings. Okay. Doll Master. The Doll Master was designed when the background settings had not yet been finalized. Therefore, compared to other characters, he has a strong Western image. And Psycho Master has some extra notes in there as well. in the early stages, the face was sharper, I believe. And the Psycho Master's eyes have no cocoons, and the inner corners of the eyes and shadows have fallen. Interesting. Okay. Pretty rad stuff. I don't know anything about the deeper story of this game. I've only played the first half hour or so, and I want to know more. So there's a pretty interesting backstory here. Backstory is my favorite thing, by the way. Okay. So I think I'm gonna cut it there for now. I will continue to separate all the individual pages for the debinding and scan them just from start to finish. It's easier that way. And every once in a while I will share my progress in the Threads of Fate / Dewprism Discord server. A huge thank you to Shiny Tentacruel for sending me this guidebook so that I could debind it and get it properly scanned for y'all, so you have more information. What I always say with the Legend of Dragoon fandom is I want to empower the fans. I want them to have all the knowledge that is available, whether it's the common knowledge or the rare knowledge, all collected together in one place, so they don't have to go to 10 different websites to find different scraps. Every fandom should have some centralized resources like that and have this information available. Even if it's in another language, which machine translation has come far enough away, has come along far enough that it's at least somewhat reliable. So you can always get started. So empowering fans is like the whole idea. I'd like to thank everyone else who watched as well. I'm Drew. I do archivism stuff for old video games and my favorites in particular. And this is one way that I can branch out a little bit more. Shiny Tentacruel has a link for the Threads of Fate Discord in the chat. And yeah, so I'm really glad I did this. Y'all will be hearing from me in the near future with the updates on this, so that you can have full access to it and be underway. Have a good night and good rest of your weekend, everybody. See you.